El mero mero. Please join me in welcoming Andres Martinez, our opening keynote speaker.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, they bring up my slides. On behalf of NASA, I would like to congratulate CABE for this incredible celebration, 50 years. Oh my goodness. Congratulations. And on behalf of NASA, I would also like to thank every educator, administrators, support staff, everyone that is in this very noble, the most noble profession in the world. The profession that forms and shapes all other professions. I am here because of many incredible teachers. Thank you so much. And there are some incredible teachers in my family, including my beautiful wife, my little sister, and my daughter. Okay, all right, so here we go. But let me start with some really cool activities for NASA this year.
We need to celebrate this moment in human history. Because Artemis 2 is more than a mission to the moon and back. It's more than a mission that has to happen before we send people to the surface of the moon. It is the next step on the journey that gets humanity to Mars.
When we hear those words, we have touchdown, it's our next step to understanding how the moon formed, that next move to land humans.
You've got to see the X-59 because it is one cool airplane. We continue modifications to the aircraft that will become the X-66.
When you have a space mission into an unknown place, you find remarkable things that you did not anticipate.
This mission is going to be game-changing.
Virtually everybody on this Earth is going to be affected by the science data that ISAR is going to return.
At any given moment, we have 140 active missions across the solar system. NASA science is literally everywhere. Science enables exploration, and exploration enables science.
I also want to thank Dr. Raul Maldonado, Dr. Edgar Lampkin, for giving me the honor of being here with you. And thank you, CABE, everyone who has contributed and organized this incredible event. Oh, let me go back one. All right, just a little bit about NASA. So this is the map of our beautiful country, and this is where we have NASA centers, and there's different types of centers. We have research centers, we have space flight centers. You can see that in California we have 3. I live in Silicon Valley, so my office is at the Ames Research Center, but I'm a NASA headquarters employee, so I have the luxury of staying in Silicon Valley. And for more than a decade, my entire focus was on missions to deep space using small satellites. This is one of them. Her name is Lunar Ice Cube, designed, built, flight certified, and operated orbiting the moon by university students from Morehead State University in Eastern Kentucky. My first, thank you. My first project, my first spaceflight project, was known as the Technology Educational Satellite 1. They are now up to 18. And you can see the incredible students that I mentor for this project. They successfully operated a 1-cube satellite, 10-centimeter cube, that was deployed from the International Space Station, and all of them received a job, from NASA, a job offer from NASA. Only one did not take our offer, decided to go make more money somewhere else. And my first scientific mission was known as SporeSat. We want to go beyond the moon. We want to go to Mars. And there's so much we still have to do. We need to know how to learn. We need to learn how to grow crops. And my first scientific mission was about that. We know that plants use gravity as a compass. This is why the roots go below ground and the rest of the stem and the rest of the flower grows above ground. So biologists around the world already knew this, but we didn't know how much gravity the plants need. Is it a full gravity level? Is it half? How much did it need? And so we did an experiment in low Earth orbit, 400 kilometers above us, with a small satellite the size of a loaf of bread. And you can see some details about that satellite there. You can see an exploded view of what was inside this little box. I also had the incredible honor of leading NASA's small spacecraft technology development program. And that's where I was responsible for many, many spaceflight missions, including this one, where we demonstrated laser communications from 720 kilometers, again, using a small satellite, this time 15 centimeters by 10 by 10. And from that distance and moving at a velocity of 17,000 kilometers per hour, orbiting the moon every 90 minutes, it managed to hit that target right above JPL. The target was the size of an iPad, if you can imagine. So the accuracy, the pointing accuracy, and was just remarkable. But more remarkable was the fact that we were able to download about a Blu-ray within those 4 or 5 minutes that it had to download and communicate with our ground station. For over a decade, my entire focus was small satellites. And this is a NASA fleet of all the satellites we have in space. We use the small satellite platform to conduct scientific missions of different types, but also to demonstrate new technologies that we know we need that have never been demonstrated in space. The ones that you see with an ellipse, a yellow ellipse, I was responsible for every single one of those. But you probably heard that we're going to the moon. We're going back to the moon. And the name of our program this time, remember in the 60s, early 70s, we called it Apollo. Well, it just so happens that Apollo had a twin sister, Artemis. And so this time, the name is Artemis. We're going back to the moon, and the name of our moon program is Artemis. This time, we're going back to learn how to live on another planet. Our goal is to go to Mars, and we're going to use the moon as a test bed. We are making some incredible progress, and here you can see some really beautiful photos of all the great work that the NASA engineers and scientists are accomplishing so far. And once again, we're not doing this alone. Not only are we bringing industry and academia to work with us, but we're also enlisting our partners across the world. You can see all the many countries that have already signed the Artemis Accord. Artemis 1 was our first successful launch. And here you can see a view of what we call the concept of operations. We document step by step what we're going to do in this mission. And here you can see that our moon rocket was launched, orbited the moon, orbited our beautiful planet, and then it took off. The second stage carrying our Orion spacecraft separated, and then Orion took off and orbited the moon, and then it came back. This was not crewed, although we did have a moonikin inside. And the moonikin had a name. And the entire mission was very, very successful. On this mission, we had various payloads. We call them payloads, right? Secondary payloads. And we had 10 small satellites. 7 of these small satellites were sponsored by NASA, and the other 3 are our international partners. And of those 7, 5 were under my responsibility. And here's a photo of where they were installed, inside the inner cryogenic propulsion system, the second stage. And here's some photo renditions of what each one of them looked like. And this is one of them, BioSentinel. So BioSentinel is conducting an experiment to measure the effects of radiation on biology. We want to go very far, and we know that the doses of radiation are going to be very harmful to our crew. So we want to learn, how to better prepare with medicine, with tools, shielding the spacecraft. So right now, BioSentinel is 60 million kilometers from Earth, and we communicate with it every single day. Every single day is giving us readings on radiation, the amounts of radiation that it's seen, so that we can be better prepared. Another mission that I still have orbiting the moon, it's called Capstone, and this time Capstone is the size of a microwave. And it was placed on this orbit that you see in the blue ellipse. That's where we're going to be placing our moon station. We call it Gateway. So Gateway is the new, more modern, more powerful space station that we're going to be placing orbiting the moon. But we had never placed anything on this orbit. So Capstone was placed on this orbit almost 2.5 years ago, and it's giving us some incredible data. Artemis 1 was launched in November of 2022, and I had the pleasure of being there. You can see on the upper left quadrant what I saw, and then in the main window you can see what the rest of the world saw. I was very excited, like a little boy. Here we go, to the moon. Yes. We call it our moon rocket, and it is so powerful. It shook the ground, and I was 3 miles away from there. You can hear it. Very successful, Artemis 1. In the books, we have learned so much from Artemis 1, and now Artemis 2. Artemis 2 will be crewed, and you can see the crew that will be now this time riding on the Orion spacecraft, and this time they're going to go and orbit the moon, and they're going to come back. It's another test. We do things in sequence, right? Accomplishing one goal at a time. We want to make sure that it's safe for our crew before we send them anywhere. And then Artemis 3 will follow after Artemis 2, and that's when we return to the lunar surface. And we return to learn how to live on another planet. We're not just going there for a few hours and coming home. We're going there, and we're going to learn how to live in a sustainable manner on the moon. We know there's water. There's lots of water, right? And there's many uses of water, not just to drink the water or to use it for personal uses. Remember, water is H2O, so it has hydrogen, right? And so we know we can use hydrogen as fuel. So many different uses of water, and there's lots of water. So over a decade, small satellites, but for the past 18 months, my focus has shifted to the red planet. Now I'm a member of the Mars Campaign Office, And we are pretty much responsible for all the technology that we're gonna need to send humans to Mars. Yes, it's a big deal. We are organized by domains. We have 6 different domains, and I lead one of those domains. Everything we develop, all the technology, we're gonna take it to the moon, whether it's on the lunar surface or orbiting the moon. The moon is our test bed. There we're gonna find what adjustments, what changes we're gonna need to make so that it can be used on the red planet, on Mars. And we do what we call architecture concepts. This is one of them. This is a concept of a mission to Mars that includes a crew of 4. And you can see we leave our beautiful planet, and you can see how many days it takes to get there. So we're up to 120, 35. And then on the right corner, you can also follow the miles, the kilometers that we've moved, right? And then you can also follow the communication delays. So we're up to 34.5-minute delay round trip. We're going to arrive on Mars, and we're going to spend almost 70 days exploring Mars. And then we come home. It's a round trip mission. So on day 345, we come home. And we do this to identify the challenges that we're going to encounter. Many, many challenges. Radiation is just one of them. Communication delays, another big one. Here you can see that at this point, the planets, there's a conjunction which will block communications for up to 2 weeks. That's not acceptable. So what do we do, right, so that the crew can be safe? And then finally, we come home. After over 870 days, we come back home. This new domain that I now lead, I helped define this new domain almost 2 years ago. I was given the task to go do an assessment on this communication delay and what is it that we're gonna need to be prepared for that. So we created what we now call the Earth Independent Operations domain, because a crew mission to Mars will be very long, no evacuation, no U-turn. After 3 weeks of going at the velocity that we're gonna be moving, it's gonna take a lot longer to make a U-turn and come back than it will to just go. No U-turns, no evacuation. There's also no resupply during transit. So we have to figure out everything that we're gonna need to bring with us. And it's gonna be a small crew. In Houston, we have a problem. Arrives in Houston 20 minutes later. Houston is responsible for then figuring out how to respond. So that'll take them a few minutes. And when they respond, it's gonna take another 20 minutes for the crew on the Mars Transit Hub to arrive, to receive that response. So I am responsible for the crew survival. My number one priority is a potential for what we call loss of crew. We call it LOC. And then we call the loss of mission LOM, LOC-LOM. I'm responsible for providing everything the crew will need so that the crew can be alive and healthy. So this is how I see my new assignment. If any of you have seen Space Odyssey 2001 by the incredible director Kubrick, you'll find this familiar, right? So in this case, there was a computer HAL that managed the entire spaceship. We promised we're gonna build a very friendly HAL that takes our commands, okay? So my group is responsible for providing everything that crew will need way ahead of time before something really bad happens. So our technology, which includes sensor technology, machine learning, AI, all sorts of new technologies, we're not just looking at the cutting edge of technology, we're looking at the bleeding edge of technology, right? What's not available to no one in the world, it's the type of technology that we're working on right now. And my team is across our beautiful nation in every single NASA center. We have a team in every single NASA center supporting us because this is a big deal. All right, so that's what I do. And so one of the I usually get 2 questions when I do presentations. And so I figure I better just put them out there. One of them is, how did you get to NASA? And I go, first with my family. I introduce my family. This is my family, my beautiful wife of almost 39 years. She's an educator. My son worked with us at NASA. He left twice to go do some startup. Didn't work out. Now he's at Stanford. My daughter's, sorry, Olga. My daughter, Paulina, is the best teacher in the world. I've been there, I've seen her in action. She's the best teacher in the world. And Melody, future astronaut, arrived in 2021. But it was mentioned that I come from Jojutla. And so we immigrated to this incredible nation, to LA in 1974. And there you can see my first photo at Rosemont Avenue School. Anyone here from LAUSD? All right. And you can see a photo of my siblings with grandma. And my little town is an agricultural town. We're known for the sugar canes and the best rice in the world, I was told, to my surprise. So I'd like to share, some of the things I've been working ever since I was 5 years old. And here you can see some AI photos, renditions of me selling jellos on the streets in Mexico. Lalo and I, the year we immigrated to California, we worked at Henry's Fashion all summer long, 8 hours a day, every day of the week, and we were paid $40 a week. We were so happy. And then my dad was a welder, passed away almost 10 years ago. He was an incredible welder. And every free time that I had, if I was not playing basketball on my teams, I was assisting my dad. But then I also like to share with those of you out there, who may need to hear this too. I lost focus, right? I came to this country not speaking any English, and I struggled my first year. Thank God for mathematics, the international language, right? Because mathematics is the same everywhere. My teachers recognized that, and I was immediately placed on some special groups, gifted groups at Rosemont. But I did great in elementary, in middle school. But then I made the mistake of taking a full-time job at this company named as the Rating Company, where on day one, I showed up to work, and on day one, they said, okay, go back there and unload this semi-truck with rolls of vinyl, 90-pound rolls of vinyl. That's what I did all day. And then on the second day, they said, yeah, go grab a broom and some cleaning tools and clean the entire store. Well, soon after that, I was given other responsibilities, and within a year or two, I became a sales executive. And I developed a horrible attitude towards education. I thought I had it made. I'm already making a decent salary. Who needs to go to college? Big mistake. The company went out of business. And I was left with no work, no job, and only a high school diploma. So my dad urged me to go back to school. And I went ahead and I enrolled in East LA College. And making lots of money was no longer my focus. Now I work for minimum wage at a women's shoe store. I was a janitor. And then I also worked at UPS, the hardest, most physical job ever. I was loading, again, these semis. And someone at East LA suggested that I apply for a teacher's assistant job within the LA Unified District, and I did. And there you see some photos with the classes and teachers that I supported. And during the same time, I met my beautiful wife. So we decided to get married. Making ends meet was a daily challenge, but here we are almost 39 years later. I went to Cal Poly. I only applied to one university. I promised myself, that's where I want to go. I'm only applying there. If they don't take me on the first try, I'm going to keep trying. Well, they took me. And in 1990, I graduated as an engineer. Thank you. So June of 1990 was a big deal. And then 2 months later, 2 really long months, you graduate, and now the entire family is asking, so do you have a job? Right? So everyone, oh man, pressure. Thank goodness for Xerox Corporation, who decided to give me an opportunity and who decided to move my entire family. And you can see my family here. My son Andres was just born. And they sent this moving truck from Mayflower, one just like that. And you know, we had a refrigerator, we had a sofa, our bed, Andy's crib, and maybe 10 boxes of things we had. So when they showed up with this big truck, I saw a couple of them laugh when they asked where everything was. And I told them not to laugh. So here I land in this incredible place called Xerox Corporation, the place where everything we still use today. Everybody use a mouse? Anybody use Windows, either whether it's on a Mac or on a PC? Anybody like to connect to the Wi-Fi or at work using the network connector? Anybody like printing on a nice laser printer? Any of you out there programming and really like object-oriented? All of that was invented, and many other things at Xerox PARC. So when I showed up at Xerox, that's the computer they gave me. That's the computer they assigned to me. The computer that had been available since the 70s, but the world had not seen it. Those Xerox sales executives, sales and marketing executives just totally missed the boat. If it hadn't been for Steve Jobs, who went to visit and saw these incredible systems and decided to come out with the Mac in 1984, over a decade after Xerox had it, and then Windows, almost 2 decades after Xerox had it already in place. Huge missed opportunity. So at Xerox, I was a member of the engineering staff as an electrical engineer. And there you can see all the different positions that I had. I thought I was going to be at Xerox my entire career. Because back in those days, you stayed at the same job for your entire career. And so when my project was canceled at Xerox PARC, and a scientist on my team suggested, are we just going to let them cancel us? Maybe we should spin off and form our own company. I was like, what? Wait a minute. No, we can work this out with Xerox. Maybe they won't cancel us. And he said, nope, let's spin off. It was 7 of us. He said, let's spin off, form our own company. He is a personal friend of Larry and Sergey from Google. So he had already been discussing what we were working on at Xerox PARC, and they were already telling them, what you guys are working on is incredible. And let me tell you what that was. We called it back then a personal relevance engine, meaning we had an algorithm that would follow every click you made on your internet browser. And it would use that information to provide you a personal, unique experience using the internet, right? Because when you and I go to Google and we type the same thing, we get millions of the list is the same, right? So we thought, that's useless, right? If I'm an auto mechanic and I type Dodge Escort or Escort, I want to see everything about a Dodge Escort. I don't want to see any dating sites, right? And that's actually how we presented that to the VCs, to the venture capitalists. So we wanted to provide a unique experience. And we convinced the venture capitalists to give us $10 million, and we formed a company, and I was the VP of engineering. We were only in business for a couple of years. It was an incredible experience. Nothing like putting on your resume, company co-founder, company sold to Google. We ended up selling the company to Google. I'm not rich, I'm still working, but it was an incredible experience. From there, I went to the Department of Energy, Lawrence Livermore National Lab. And there I was responsible for an organization that developed software systems for some of our critical, to operate and maintain some of our critical systems, including a nuclear reactor that they have there. That was an incredible place to be, but it was almost 50 miles away from home. And a good friend of mine invited me to come and apply at Motorola, who was forming a new research and development group. And he invited me to come and apply for the director of this new program, essentially to be his boss. And I found that very interesting. And so I applied, and I was at Motorola for 3 years. At every single one of these stops, I felt like I had the best job in the world. Here at Motorola, we were responsible for inventing new technologies for the cable industry, technologies that all of you are using today. We had a CEO who had a vision of a connected home. He said, everywhere in my room, if I record a program here and I move to my bedroom, I want to see that program too. In the old days, we would record them on a cable box, and you had to watch it on that cable box, right? And he thought that's ridiculous. Motorola has been my most stressful job to this day, and I have satellites that are 60 million kilometers away. But this was my most stressful job, because look at my team. My team was in 12 different geographies around the world, including Russia. I had an opportunity to visit my team in Russia. I finally joined NASA in 2007, supporting the Constellation program, supporting ground systems. And when the Constellation program was canceled, I saw that as an opportunity. I was bummed out that it was canceled, but I saw it as an opportunity because when you work at NASA, you want to work on space flight projects. You want to send something to space. But when I asked if I could be assigned to a project, space projects, they looked at me and they said, well, you don't know too much about space. Okay, but they suggested that I apply for this program that NASA has with the Stevens Institute of Technology. I was told, every 2 years NASA has this program. They accept up to 10. Apply if you accept. In about 2 years, you start being considered for space missions. Way before I graduated, I started getting assigned to space projects, and you can see some of them here. I was a chief engineer for a spaceflight payload that was on the Discovery Space Shuttle, its last launch, and you can see a photo of me and Olga there watching the launch. I was also the deputy manager for the Entry, Descent, and Landing Technology Development Program, and then you can see all these other assignments that very soon after I graduated from this program, I started receiving these assignments. My journey to NASA was not planned. I've been in these incredible places. These are the most recent honors that I've received, recognition. The most recent is the Exceptional Service Medal. And when I looked up, who has received this medal in the past, I was shocked to see that astronauts, these are the type of medals that astronauts and some incredible scientists at NASA receive. So I was very, very happy. Another thing that I really believe in is in paying it forward. So when I was at Cal Poly and when I was a teacher's assistant, I saw some incredible minds also take the wrong road like I did in high school, right? And so some kids who I thought, yeah, this kid's gonna be a scientist, this kid is gonna do this. Soon after they graduated from this elementary school, I would see them, in activities that I knew were not good. And so I decided, and I also saw this incredible movie, Stand and Deliver, and I thought what Professor Escalante is doing is what I want to be doing. I want to be an engineer, and I want these kids to learn. I was at an elementary school, so I had to tone it down a little. I thought if I can teach them pre-algebra, they're going to see the potential. And when they're in middle school, they're going to want to learn algebra and trig and calculus when they're in high school. So I wanted to be Professor Escalante, and I asked the principal if she would allow me to create a pre-algebra club. And I organized this club for 3 years while there as a teacher's assistant. And the first year I had 70 students. And 3 years straight, and I was really happy with that. I also like to support outreach at all different levels. Either I come through video conference, or they come to my office. You can see a group of students that came to my office. Or I also support events like this incredible event. For 5 years, I also organized what I first called an evening with NASA with the Alum Rock Unified School District. Anybody here from Alum Rock? A couple back there. Where I invited all my colleagues from Silicon Valley to come one evening and show these kids what they were doing at their companies, at their universities. And I convinced about 50 of my NASA colleagues to come and do this. So you can see some of the numbers there. The last time we held this event in person, right before COVID, we had over 1,400, over 300 families, and some incredible activities and some beautiful moments captured in photos. And this was really a family event, not only because everyone in the community was invited, but because my entire family supported this. You can see there my son. He's a chess master, and he set up a booth to teach the kids how to play chess. And my wife was the principal there too. Outreach to universities, from day one, when I became a professional at Xerox, and I continue to do that. Some of these universities, we have some smarty pants like MIT. And I actually had a program with MIT, and I was given the honor of kicking off the final competition there. So you can see that I was in a crowd with a number of astronauts, and I was kicking things off. I have to tell you, my boots were shaking at that moment. And my outreach activities, they go way beyond our state and our nation. I do quite a bit also in Mexico. We had a successful mission in Mexico. University students designed a CubeSat that was also deployed from the International Space Station, and which was very successful. I get invited to Mexico quite a bit, get invited everywhere. And if it's for STEM, if it's to support university students, you can count on me. For 5 years straight, I was also invited to Malaga to be the opening keynote presenter at the Spanish Small Satellites International Forum. And I just want to share that so far, this has been my evolving engineering career. Xerox was my first stop. Xerox PARC was my second. My company that I co-founded, this laboratory, Motorola, and now NASA. So if you ask that little boy if he imagined that this was going to happen, I like to go back in time and ask him, right? But, I want to also always leave you with these two messages. We're all faced with a series of great opportunities, brilliantly disguised as impossible situations. If you had asked that little boy back then, he would have probably have said, I don't think so. Okay? And I also like this one here. Luck is what happens when our preparation meets opportunity. So many times I actually felt like Forrest Gump because I felt like I was at the right place at the right moment. But because every single one of these stops helped me prepare for the moment, I feel like I was lucky at every single opportunity. Just some notes on what I've learned so far. I keep adding to this. Education, I learned right after high school that education gives you options. Education never ends. I went back to school recently. You have to set goals and objectives and follow through. Life is too short. Have fun. Create your own opportunities. And you know, from my first stop at Xerox until now, you know, we learn from both failures and successes. Take risks, teamwork, very important. Another very important thing is impeccable work ethic. If you say you're gonna do something, do it, follow through, okay? There's nothing worse than saying you're gonna do something and not do it. Gives you a bad reputation. Nobody's gonna want you on the team. Be proactive, drive your career, and always feel that you have the best job in the world. And if you don't, life goes by way too fast. If you don't, do something about it. I still feel, my body still feels like I'm 21, 22, but I'm 62. And I don't know how that happened. The other thing also is that being bilingual opens many doors. Xerox, Motorola, everywhere, NASA, right? It has opened so many doors for me. And then the second question I get asked is, when did you first dream of working at NASA? And I throw the question back at the audience. When do you think Andres first started dreaming that working at NASA was possible? And the answer is, I never thought it was possible. I had this misconception that everyone at NASA was a rocket scientist, and I was just an electrical engineer. There's no way there's room for me. Well, that's wrong. And I want all of you to know that that is just wrong. At NASA, we need all of you. We need engineers, scientists, psychologists, lawyers. I didn't know we needed lawyers, but we need lawyers. We need architects. We need everybody. We need accountants, right? We have huge projects. We need people that know how to do our budgets, right? So we need everybody. So I'm not a rocket scientist. Sometimes people think I am, but I'm not, okay? So because of that, and because I never thought it was possible, I want to change that, and I want you to help me change that. I'm starting now with my granddaughter.
Huh? An astronaut? Are you going to the moon? Let me see. Where's the moon? Up there? Wow. Are you ready, astronaut? Oh. Are you ready to fly on your spaceship?
We didn't practice that. She did it all on her own. Melody Martinez, future mission commander. How many of you are going to stand up and help me deliver the future generations of leaders that are going to help us go to the moon, Mars, and beyond? On purpose, I don't bring business cards. I want you to look me up on LinkedIn, search Andres Martinez NASA. I'm the first one that comes up. There's not many of us. Ask me to connect, and I will. The second one is my son, but he's no longer at NASA. Now he's doing some really cool things. He left us. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Please welcome back to the stage Dr. Barbara Flores.
Muchísimas gracias, Andres. On behalf of CABE, we'd like to give you medallion and our commemorative book.
Oh, thank you so
for
much.
todos. Wasn't he awesome? Otro aplauso. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you.
CABE thanks our sponsors for their generous support of CABE, the platinum sponsors, Laguna, Summit, K-12, our corporate sponsors, ARG, Audio Resource Group, gold sponsors, Elevation, Latino 247 Media Group, Learn for Life,
thank you.
MoxieBoxArt.com, and Velasquez Press. This concludes our opening general session. We hope you join us for these events happening this evening, tonight at the exhibits, the night of exhibits, the multicultural dress fashion show, and the membership dance, you guys, with the band, August. So see you later at the dance. Gracias.